welcome. You know, clinical trials are the absolute foundation of modern medicine. They're how we find out if new treatments actually work, and, just as importantly, if they're safe. But as the science gets more advanced, our duty to protect the people who make it all possible gets even bigger. Today, we're going to go deep inside the world of clinical trial safety, and our guide is going to be the gold standard for this stuff, the ICH GCP guidelines. I mean, that's the big question, right? You've got this potential breakthrough that could change everything. But before it can get out there to the world, we have this incredible ethical responsibility to the first few volunteers who try it. And that means you need a really strong, multi-layered system that's designed to protect those participants every single step of the way. All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about the core promise that holds this whole thing together. Then we'll meet the network of people in charge of safety. We'll see how the monitoring changes as a trial goes through its different phases. And finally, we're going to zoom in on this super specialized group, the Data Safety Monitoring Board, and see exactly how they operate. Let's get started with that promise. Okay, first things first. Before a single pill is given or any data gets collected, the entire system is built on one simple but really powerful ethical promise to the people taking part in the trial. This right here, this is the guiding star for every single clinical trial. It's a key principle from those ICH GCP guidelines we mentioned, and it couldn't be clearer. People always come first. The search for scientific breakthroughs or what's good for society can never be used as an excuse to put a participant at risk. Every single rule, every job we're about to talk about, it all comes back to this one idea. So, keeping that promise isn't just one person's job. Not at all. It's a team effort, a whole network of key players who each have their own specific but totally vital role in keeping participants safe. All right, let's meet the team. As you can see, you've got 4 main players in this safety network: the investigator, the IRB or IEC, the sponsor, and the monitor. Let's break down what each of them does. Now, what's really fascinating here is how these roles all create a system of checks and balances. You've got the investigator who's on the front lines providing care and reporting any adverse events. That's just any bad medical thing that happens. Then you have the IRB, which acts as the independent ethics guardian. The sponsor, who's funding the whole thing, has the ultimate responsibility. And the monitor is there to make sure everyone's actually following the rules. It's this collaborative web designed to make sure participant safety is always priority number 1. You know, safety monitoring isn't something you just do once and forget about. Nope. It's a dynamic process that actually gets more and more intense as a drug moves from its very first test in humans all the way to being used by the general public. So, drug development is typically broken down into these 4 phases. Each one has its own mission, its own scale, and, as we're about to see, a really specific and evolving focus on safety. We start small with phase 1. This is the very first time a new drug is given to people, usually just a small group of about 20 to 80 healthy volunteers. The main goal here is just pure safety, finding a safe dose and watching for any immediate side effects. And because the risks are totally unknown, the monitoring is incredibly intense. Participants are often watched around the clock to catch anything the second it happens. Okay, next up is phase 2. Now the drug is given to a bigger group, maybe 100 to 300 people who actually have the condition we're trying to treat. At this point, we're really asking 2 big questions. Does it look like it's working? And what are the short-term side effects? The safety monitoring here expands to look for things that get worse as the dose goes up. And then we get to the big leagues, phase 3. These are the huge trials. We're talking thousands of patients, often at sites all over the world. The goal is to confirm on a massive scale that the drug is both safe and effective. With so many people involved, this is our best shot at finding those rarer side effects before the drug ever hits the market. But here's the thing, it doesn't stop there. Phase 4, which we call post-marketing surveillance, keeps an eye on the drug's performance out in the real world after it's been approved. This is super important because it can uncover very rare or long-term side effects that you'd only see after millions of people have used the drug over a long period of time. So, we've seen the general safety net, but for the trials with really high stakes, more risk, more people, or just a really long study, we bring in an extra layer of specialized, independent oversight. It's time to meet the watchdog. This is the Data Safety Monitoring Board, or DSMB. And the most important word in that whole definition is independent.
These folks are not part of the sponsor's company, they're not on the study team. Their whole job is to pop in every so often, look at all the data that's coming in, data that the main team might not even be allowed to see yet, and give completely unbiased advice about what should happen next.
So, when do you actually need one? Well, DSMBs are absolutely essential for the most complex and high-risk studies out there. Think huge multi-center trials, studies with risky stuff like gene therapy, trials that involve vulnerable people like kids, or even just studies that are going to take a really, really long time to finish. And this is why they're so powerful. A DSMB isn't just one type of expert. It's a whole team. You've got clinicians who know the disease inside and out, biostatisticians who can make sense of all the numbers, and medical ethicists who keep everyone focused on what's right. You might even have pharmacologists or patient representatives bringing that crucial real-world perspective to the table. Okay, so we know who they are and when we need them. But now let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this watchdog actually does its job, the questions it asks, and the incredible power it has. The DSMB looks at the trial from 4 key angles. First, effectiveness. Is this new treatment working so incredibly well that it would actually be unethical to keep giving other people a placebo? Second, safety. Are there unexpected side effects popping up that create an unacceptable risk? Third, how's the trial being run? Is it being done correctly? And fourth, what's going on in the outside world? Has another study just been published that changes everything we thought we knew? And based on their review, the DSMB has some serious power. They can say, everything looks good, carry on. They can recommend changes like lowering a dose. They can say, whoa, hit pause, we need to look into this. Or in the most serious cases, they can recommend stopping the entire trial because the risks are just too high. So, if you boil it all down, their entire purpose is to constantly weigh the evidence. They provide that independent, expert judgment on the delicate balance between the potential benefit of a new treatment and the potential risk to the participants, making sure that balance always stays ethically and scientifically sound. And that brings us right back to where we started. This single idea is the heart and soul of safety monitoring. From the doctor on the front lines all the way up to the independent experts on the DSMB, every single decision is guided by this one unwavering principle. The person always, always comes before the science. We really hope this helped shed some light on the incredible layers of protection that are built into every clinical trial. If you found this useful, do us a favor and hit like, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of clinical research. Thanks so much for watching.